Hey, Blue Jays fans. As we get closer to spring training, there's a lot to unpack when it comes to the roster and how this team might shape up for the 2026 season. One of the most interesting aspects heading into this spring is the battle for everyday playing time and how the coaching staff will deploy their lineup. There are a number of spots that are realistically still up for grabs, and while some positions have clear starters, others are going to be determined based on matchups, performance in camp, and who can step up when called upon. This is particularly true in the outfield, where flexibility and adaptability will be key for several players looking to make an impression. The outfield is going to see some familiar names, but also opportunities for those looking to cement a role. Dalton Varsho is expected to see regular time in center field, providing a steady presence and defensive reliability. On the right side, Anthony Santander is likely to take the bulk of the action, though there are certainly platoon considerations depending on who the Blue Jays are facing. That leaves left field, which appears to be the most fluid of the outfield spots. Nathan Lukes will likely get significant playing time there, with Asen Barger and David Schneider also in the mix. Depending on matchups and game situations, Miles Straw could see action as well, providing versatility and a defensive upgrade when needed. The coaching staff has shown a willingness to rotate players based on pitching matchups, and that approach will create opportunities for those who can contribute in multiple roles. Moving into the infield, there are several points of interest, particularly at third base and second base. Third base could potentially be a platoon situation early in the season. Kazuma Okamoto brings a strong bat and solid defensive ability, while Ernie Clement has proven his capability to handle the position reliably. Asen Barger, known for his strong arm, could also see time at third base depending on matchups, adding another layer of flexibility. Shortstop is expected to be held by Andrelton Simmons for now, but that leaves second base as another spot with multiple candidates vying for reps. Ernie Clement is likely to see significant time at second, with David Schneider mixed in to provide depth and situational support. These early battles will be intriguing to watch during spring training, as the coaching staff evaluates how players handle different roles and responsibilities. Another storyline to follow closely is the fight for the final roster spots. David Schneider, despite his potential, is one of the players who could be on the bubble. His performance in spring training will be crucial if he wants to secure a spot, and he'll likely be competing with Joey Lopaido for those limited openings. Lopaido has been knocking on the door of the major league for a few seasons now, and when he has been called up in the past, he's shown flashes of the talent that could make him a reliable contributor. What makes Lopaido fascinating is the contrast between his minor league statistics and his ability to perform when given a chance at the major league level. There's something about the energy and intensity of being called up that seems to elevate his game, though the question remains whether that level of performance can be sustained over a full season. David Schneider, meanwhile, has already shown he can be effective, but his contributions are often overshadowed by the breakout seasons of teammates like Ernie Clement, Asen Barger, and Nathan Lukes. Defensive replacements such as Miles Straw also impact Schneider's role, particularly in the outfield. That said, there is definitely a role for him on this roster, especially if he can continue to contribute both offensively and defensively. The bench will likely be anchored by a mix of established veterans and young players who can provide flexibility. Miles Straw, for instance, is expected to be the primary defensive replacement, capable of playing center or other outfield positions as needed. Tyler Heineman may take the role of backup catcher, while players like Nathan Lukes and David Schneider will battle for the remaining bench spots, making spring training a critical evaluation period for these individuals. Beyond the players already in the organization, there are a few intriguing prospects that could make an impact down the line. R.J. Schreck, for instance, has been climbing the prospect rankings and shows promise as a versatile outfielder who can play multiple positions while providing offensive potential. If Joey Lopaido isn't ready to take the next step, Schreck could become a key contributor later in the season, potentially changing the composition of the bench or even impacting the starting lineup, depending on injuries or performance. Similarly, non-roster invitees like Eloy Jimenez present an interesting case. Jimenez has experience at the major league level, but may be limited in his role given the depth of the roster and the logjam at designated hitter. While he could contribute, Particularly as a situational player, expectations should be tempered for early season impact. Spring training itself is an invaluable opportunity to evaluate the younger players, those on the fringes of the roster, and those looking to solidify their place in the organization. Players such as Kazuma Okamoto, Cody Pond, and others who have yet to establish themselves as everyday contributors will be under close observation. Even players with established reputations, like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., may use spring training to fine-tune their swings or work on specific aspects of their game without the expectation of dominating in every matchup. This is an important time for the coaching staff to see how players respond to live competition, experiment with defensive alignments, and determine the best combinations for opening day. The history of spring training shows that early performance is not always indicative of regular season success. Take, for instance, George Springer, who struggled during spring training in 2025, but went on to have a phenomenal regular season. This illustrates the importance of focusing not just on the statistics, but also on mechanics, approach, and adaptability. Players are often working on adjustments, refining their swings, or experimenting with different pitches. These changes can temporarily suppress offensive numbers, but are critical for long-term performance and team success. Evaluating players in this context requires a balance of statistical analysis and observation, particularly when it comes to younger players making their first impression on the major league stage. For the bench, it appears that David Schneider, Nathan Lukes, Miles Straw, and Tyler Hyman will likely occupy most of the roles. However, as the season progresses, flexibility will be key. If a player struggles early, the coaching staff is not afraid to make adjustments, bringing up promising performers from AAA or rotating bench players to find the right balance. Joey Lopito, RJ Schreck, and other prospects may earn opportunities as the season unfolds, providing depth and options for the Blue Jays. This constant evaluation process is a hallmark of a team looking to maximize its chances in a highly competitive league, and it makes the spring training period an exciting time for fans to watch. Spring training also offers insight into the pitching staff, particularly the bullpen and the battle for the fifth rotation spot. Candidates like Cody Pond, Jose Brios, and Eric Lauer will be closely monitored, as performance in camp could determine who takes on key roles in the rotation or long relief. The flexibility of having a left-handed option in the rotation provides strategic advantages, and teams in win-now mode are always looking to ride the hot hand. Health will also be a major factor, particularly for players like Shane Bieber, whose availability could influence the rotation and bullpen usage. This evaluation period will provide a clearer picture of how the pitching staff will be structured, and fans will be watching closely to see who emerges as the key contributors. As we turn our attention to the pitching side, spring training becomes even more critical for the Blue Jays. Unlike the everyday lineup, pitching roles can be more fluid, with opportunities opening up based on performance, matchups, and sometimes just timing. The fifth rotation spot is one of the most intriguing battles this spring. Cody Pond and Jose Brios are both expected to be contenders for that role, with Eric Lauer also potentially in the mix as a dark horse. While contracts might suggest a hierarchy, the Blue Jays are a team focused on winning now, and they're likely to prioritize whoever comes out of camp in the best form. Spring training will be the proving ground, and this competition could shape the early season rotation and even influence bullpen assignments later on. Long relief and bullpen depth are also areas where battles will play out. Having versatile arms who can handle multiple innings or step in on short notice is crucial over the course of a grueling Major League Baseball season. Injuries, of course, can alter plans quickly, and the Blue Jays will need to be prepared to adjust at any moment. This is why spring training is more than just a warm-up. It's a stage where the coaching staff evaluates not just ability, but also readiness and adaptability. Players who can show consistency, command, and composure in camp are often rewarded with the opportunity to contribute in high-leverage situations once the regular season begins. One of the most fascinating aspects of spring training is watching young players step into these evaluation roles. For hitters, this includes players like Kazuma Okamoto, Cody Pond, and others who may not yet have established themselves fully at the major league level. These are the individuals who often define spring training as a critical turning point in their careers. How they respond to pitching, how they handle defensive responsibilities, and how they adjust to the speed of the game at the major league level all contribute to the coaching staff's decision-making. While veterans like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and George Springer may not need spring training to prove their worth, even they can use the time to tweak their mechanics or refine their approach at the plate. Spring training is also a time when matchups can provide insight into player potential. The coaching staff frequently experiments with lineups, defensive alignments, and situational at-bats to see how players respond under pressure. Players like Nathan Lukes and David Schneider will need to be ready to take advantage of these opportunities, showing that they can contribute both offensively and defensively. The versatility of players is highly valued, and those who can adapt to multiple roles, whether in the infield or outfield, have a better chance of securing a roster spot. This adaptability is often what separates bubble players from those who earn consistent playing time during the regular season. Prospects such as R.J. Schreck also provide an exciting dimension to spring training. Schreck has the ability to play across all outfield positions while offering offensive upside, making him a candidate for mid-season promotion if injuries or performance issues arise among the regular roster. His development will be closely monitored, and he represents the kind of player who can make a significant impact if given the right opportunity. Similarly, Joey Lopito's progress is worth tracking. Despite mixed minor league statistics, he has shown that when called up, he can rise to the occasion. The coaching staff will be looking for evidence that his performance can be sustained over a longer period, which may determine whether he starts the season in the majors or continues in AAA. The catching situation also deserves attention. Tyler Heineman is projected to be the backup catcher, but spring training allows for the evaluation of other potential contributors. Catching is one of the most demanding positions, and having depth here is critical for any team with playoff aspirations. Even small adjustments in pitch framing, game calling, or defensive positioning can influence which players are trusted in high-pressure situations. Spring training provides the perfect setting for these evaluations, allowing coaches to identify which players are prepared to handle the challenges of a full season. Defensive replacements like Miles Straw will continue to play a significant role in how the Blue Jays approach games. Straw's ability to cover ground in center field, coupled with his defensive reliability, ensures that the team has options late in games. This type of strategic flexibility is critical in a sport where one play can alter the course of a game. Players who can be trusted to execute in these roles not only add value on the field, but also relieve pressure from the regular starters, who may be managing workloads over the course of the season. The interplay between spring training performance and regular season success is always a complex relationship. As we saw with George Springer in 2025, a slow start in spring training does not necessarily predict a poor regular season. Players may be working on mechanics, adjusting to new techniques, or focusing on areas that do not immediately produce impressive statistics. This nuance makes spring training both exciting and unpredictable, as fans get a glimpse of player development and potential without drawing immediate conclusions based solely on numbers. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. What began as a routine conversation inside the Dodgers clubhouse is now being whispered about as a potential fault line running through the organization. At the center of the storm are Yoshinobu Yamamoto and manager Dave Roberts, linked by a leaked discussion over pitch counts that has traveled far beyond Los Angeles and sparked intense debate in Japan. According to people familiar with the situation, the exchange revolved around how aggressively Yamamoto should be pushed in key moments. On the surface, it sounded like a standard baseball disagreement. Dig a little deeper, however, and the story takes on a more delicate tone. Yamamoto, who arrived carrying enormous expectations from his dominant career overseas, is said to be deeply invested in proving durability as well as excellence. Any suggestion of restriction, even framed as protection, can be interpreted as a lack of trust. The leak itself is what turned a private disagreement into a public crisis. Japanese media outlets and fans reacted strongly, with some portraying the discussion as cultural misunderstanding, others as a sign of tension between player autonomy and managerial control. In a baseball culture that often values endurance and resilience, the idea of limiting Yamamoto has been framed by critics as an unnecessary leash. Inside the Dodgers, there is no official acknowledgement of conflict, but the silence has only fueled speculation. Teammates are believed to be aware of the noise, and front office executives are reportedly monitoring the narrative as closely as the innings. For Roberts, known for balancing data-driven decisions with player relationships, the rumor cuts at the core of his managerial identity. Whether this episode fades quietly or grows into something larger may depend less on numbers and more on communication. For now, the Dodgers find themselves navigating not just a pitching strategy, but an international conversation about respect, trust, and control. What was once a simple pitch count has become a symbol, and symbols have a way of lingering long after the conversation ends. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.